So more.
And then you should see mirror.
Mirror your bit.
More mirror.
Yep.
Everything still
It
looks
stayed that
backwards.
way from last time. It's going to still.
Looks backwards to his. Yeah, I guess it does because his looks backwards.
I'll tell you in a minute if it came out correct.
All right.
All right. So we've done our intros. Now we don't have to worry about those anymore. Makes editing just a little bit easier. And here we go. We're live on TikTok. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube.
We're out there for people to see.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to watch the video versions of this, which sometimes can be
entertaining,
even more entertaining than the audio version.
Right.
Partly because some of the audio version ends up getting edited. So
right. Yeah, absolutely.
Not a lot of it.
Okay.
Not a lot of it, but some of it. And we are going through technical, trying to figure out how to mirror these TikTok shows.
There you are. That did it. That's weird.
Yay.
It is weird. So
Yeah.
whatever it is, when you get in there, you got to do the opposite, I guess. Whatever. Doesn't matter. So now the TikToks are mirrored. We're good to go?
Yes.
Oh, hang on.
Oh, hey, look, somebody is already, somebody's already in there.
Of course they are.
YouTube. So once again, thanks for tuning in on YouTube.
Yeah.
Giving us a reason why we need to continue to do these streams in other locations besides Tickety Talk.
Tickety Talk.
Tickety Talk.
Tickety Talk.
All right.
TikTok.
Well, let's just get started, right? Because
let's dive in.
We waited until like 15 or 17 minutes into a 35-minute video before we finally tasted the whiskey on the last one.
Let's not do that again.
So this is what was once called Slow River Blend. Baumbrockner, or hey, Jesse Slaughter, look at that. This is they went through a new label change.
Okay.
So I still call it Slow River Blend. This is the one that's got that. Well, this is the one I told you you'd probably like, and then I'll tell you more about it in a second. So,
all right.
Cheers to you,
cheers,
and
cheers, buddy. All right.
Yeah, and cheers to everybody out there listening. Jesse, see you, buddy.
Cheers, cheers.
Ladies,
oh yeah,
you guys are supposed to fill the empty air.
Yeah, when we're drinking, that's when
otherwise
you guys talk.
this becomes an ASMR video.
To be 100% honest, I was looking at the glasses.
Yeah, the one says number one dad over here. And
Yeah.
then,
Why didn't you get the correct
I just pulled out two glasses. Oh, that's right. They didn't have the.
She made special ones for you guys.
To be honest, I might have drank out of one of those.
We have a production team for a reason. If the production team's not going to set up our production, then right. I'm just saying.
He pulled everything out.
You can't trust me to be the one to do it.
Obviously.
Look, we're just the stars. What do you want from us?
If it's not audio.
Wow. You know all that drama that we said.
Do you know who this guy is? This is Chuck Weimer.
Oh my God.
Hey, you know who I am? I'm his wife.
Hey, speaking of being bougie, can you slide?
Speaking of being, oh yeah, I gotta.
Yeah, can you make that bigger for me so I can see it? As bougie as I am.
Hey, everybody joining us on TikTok. Hey, thanks for joining the podcast. We are the Rhythm and Rescue Podcast. If you got a question you want to see here on the podcast, all you got to do is drop it in the comments, and we'll try to get to it as we can.
Who said that? I can't read the name.
Briggs.
Who?
Briggs.
He said, "Be nice to the produce team."
The produce team? Absolutely.
Because y'all a couple of vegetables.
So let me tell you
what's going on, Briggs. Miss you, buddy.
Tell a story about the whiskey.
So it was probably a year or so ago.
That is pretty good.
Chuck had our mayor
here,
and that's the whiskey they were drinking.
The honorable.
And they drank the entire bottle. You did
We're
have
not doing that.
The other guy with you, though, because he actually signed it. Yeah.
Oh, the other guy.
All three of you. They drank the entire bottle. We made our mayor stay for a little while and sleep because
Stacy Dean popped in.
It was crazy. Yes.
Stacy Dean popped in, said, "Hey, wifeys."
Hello.
What up, Stacy Dean?
I gotta remember to take my notes in case people have questions. That's so if Taylor pops in, no, I'm not doodling.
I know, huh?
I doubt she pops in. She's on a cruise right now.
Oh, okay.
She is.
Yeah,
she is enjoying some
Where's
time.
she at?
At least she's gonna have fun.
I just said that.
They went down to the Bahamas.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's about par for the course.
When you go on a cruise, you're not just at sea. You're actually going somewhere.
Jesse said, "Drink the entire bottle, Greg. Quitters never win." Well, the joke's on him, Jesse. I started on it yesterday.
Yeah, it's not even the whole bottle anymore. Over here, I got thoughts on dealing with a complacency at a slow department. Green Captain here trying to motivate. I tell you what, the best motivation is to get people to buy into your story. Get them to buy into the why. Why do we do this? What is it that we're doing? You know, when we were trying to turn our department around, when we were really trying, And Jesse Slaughter, if you get, he's up at Granbury, up in Granbury, Texas. If you get to check out Granbury Fire, they've done the same thing. Get people to buy into your why. Get them to buy into what it is you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish through the department. And when you do that, the complacency will start to stop. You'll start to see some people diving in.
I see somebody put, y'all doing song requests. Song requests today, they have to go through Spotify, Apple, wherever it is you get your streaming, but you can listen to any of my stuff out there.
There you go.
What's that? What's the next one that came through there? Fire Chief.
Handsome Fire Chief on Tickety Talk.
Oh, yeah. I wanted you to be able to say that.
Oh, okay. All right. Yep.
Let's see. I'm going to a spa in Beeville Saturday. Stacy?
Beeville has spas?
Oh, thanks a lot, Stacy.
Well, no, I'm just thinking we've been there because that's where the radio station where Jim Nash is at.
Yeah, but
where's that?
Beeville.
Oh yeah, Beeville. So actually, I've got a fire truck manufacturer sales guy who's from Beeville, and it's a nice little town.
Yeah, I'm saying thanks a lot because Stacy's telling Jamie where the spas are whenever we're on the road.
Oh God!
Yeah, we'll see. That would work out perfect. We'll go down. We could visit Jim Nash again at the radio station, and then I'll go off to the spa.
Also, for the Green Fire Chief over here, you can tell him to go back and listen to our podcast because there's a bunch of questions that are similar to that question that come through.
Yeah.
And we just address them on the while we're doing this live. And, of course, some of that sage advice from Chief Atkinson are out there. Like they're nuggets that he may never be able to bring back up again because he's on to the next best thing. But
that is the first compliment you've ever paid me. I think I was like, wow, he was actually acting like I know what I'm doing in my job. That's awesome. No,
that's not true. I told you were handsome when you walked in today. I said you're looking good.
You did. That is true.
Oh my gosh.
That's the second compliment.
That's the second compliment you've ever given me. Both in the same night.
There you go.
You started on the bottle before I got here.
We're on a roll.
Oh goodness.
Or the whiskey made him forget.
That's very possible too. Very possible too. So I actually have a professional designation now.
Oh.
I get letters behind my name.
Okay.
Not just ABC.
Not just ABC. So I was gone all last week. I went to that school, and I am now a certified fire executive, and I get to put CFE behind my name.
Ah, do you have your own flag?
I don't have my own.
You need more letters.
All right.
To be fair,
I'm wearing a hat with your name on it. I can have all the letters I want. It doesn't really matter.
To be fair, I don't care what you do in the comforts of your own home or whatever. But that I couldn't pass that joke. That was just perfect.
Good
that was
joke.
just too perfect.
Yeah. I don't have enough letters to get my own flag.
I do have to be. Just to be real though, that flag is getting uglier as the days go by.
It's like. It's almost like it's fading out. Not to make a pun or a joke there, but it's like you've added so much to it that it's like it's just not.
I mean, the only thing not on there is red.
I know, right? Okay.
No.
Moving on.
So moving on. So when he mentioned being bougie earlier, was that because of the dog? When I was telling you about the dog being bougie?
No. I think you were. Oh no, because he said he was a star.
Oh,
and then Keita gave the look like,
yeah. You're not a star of anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have to tell you, so the whole bougie thing has been on my mind because of my dog here.
Okay.
So
your dog is bougie?
Oh, yes. She is bougie.
Very much so.
So the other day, Chuck's mom's back for a little bit. And then, so she was across the way and the dogs went over to her house. I always go say hi to grandma. She had treats. She gave them each a little bone. Harley takes her bone, lays down in the grass over by his mom's house and eats it. Chloe has that bone in her mouth, does not even take a bite of the bone, comes trotting across the yard, up the steps so she can go in the house to go on her carpet to eat her bone. Then, same day.
Can't have that bone getting dirty.
No, right. So she has an issue with dirt, apparently, even though she'll roll around in it. The same day, I'm outside because, the weather has been gorgeous. I'm outside with the dogs on the porch. I bring out her tennis ball because she loves to play with the ball. I throw it. She goes to get it, picks it up, doesn't go very far with it before she drops it. And I realize it's got dirt on it. Every time I threw it, she would not take it because it had dirt on it.
That's funny.
So I have a bougie dog.
You have a bougie dog.
Yes.
Even more so, she does not take criticism well. The dog.
Okay.
If you noticed, when she started telling the story, the dog walked out.
The dog walked out. The dog took off. Like, I don't have to take
she
this.
She didn't just take off. She stood in the hallway and barked. Like, I know you're telling on me.
I'm taking my bone and I'm going elsewhere. I don't have to take this.
That's funny.
Can I help you?
That is hilarious.
Crazy dog.
Let me
Crazy
go see
dog.
what she wants. I'll be right back.
All right. Cool. What do you want to talk about today?
I mean, the norm. How your shows been?
They've been good. They've been real good. I actually have 2 scheduled for tomorrow. So I'll go out and I'll do a song swap with Jenny Dale Lord, and then for those listening on Spotify, that'll have been a week ago. But for those that are out there in Tickety Talk land, I have one with Jenny Dale Lord out at William Chris, I think, Vineyards, and then we'll be out in Llano with the band. So
I actually had one of my firefighters go, "Hey, Chief, have you heard this 1985 song?" And I started laughing, and he was like, "Man, this is awesome." He's like, "But." Because he's one of my 18-year-olds.
Mhm.
He goes, "My mom says it's not the original." And I said, "Well, fun fact.
That guy's coming to Thanksgiving.
The guy that sang the original also helped on this one. So,
It's true.
Hey, did you
But,
see Simon's comment here? He said, "Tickety talk, everyone take a shot."
Tickety talk, everybody take a shot.
Who is that? Simon.
Simon.
Simon's back. Good to see you, Simon. Uh-oh. Keita's been making notes.
I know, right?
Well, his TikTok is very active tonight. So I'm
Alarm
trying to-
alarm drops, expectations, stretching lines, all in industrial settings. Yeah, you got to train that. You have to, if you don't train your alarms, if you don't train on who responds on a single alarm, double alarm, whatever, then that's going to be a problem. We're all about making sure that you build those relationships with your mutual aid partners, even if it's just your other stations within your departments. If you're gonna respond on a second or a third alarm with a bunch of people you don't normally work with, you probably ought to train that way. You probably ought to train with some of them, learning, hey, these are the lines we use. I'm running a 2.5. I'm running a 1 3/4. I'm running whatever. We've got foam. We don't have foam. We've got a cab system. We don't have a cab system, whatever. And so that you need to work through these things, and I include everybody. I'm a big fan of, we do tabletops all the time, and we try to invite our partners in. So I'm a big fan of involve law enforcement. If you're going to run a mock scenario, involve law enforcement, involve your mutual aid partners, involve all of that, and get to where whenever you call out an alarm, the people that are going to be responding to that alarm are used to working together. I would absolutely train that way and doing it on a regular basis. Are you an EMT? Yes, I am.
I think you had another one that came through there as well. Does fire work well with PD?
In our area, yes, fire works very well with PD. I know there's some areas where they don't work well together, but rural Texas, we absolutely work well together. And it doesn't matter whether it's the county guys or the small city guys that we have around here. They're not small. The city's small is what I meant. The smaller size city police officers or the state troopers, they all work really well with us, and we all kind of know our job, again, because we train with them. We don't just, oh, well, when we see on scene, we see you. No, we train with them. We, whether it's a active shooter drill where we're doing it together, where we're working with PD, or whether it's a car wreck drill that we're doing and with an extrication where they've got to hold traffic, or maybe it's an investigation. Maybe we're working an investigation and we've got to hold traffic. We actually train all of those different scenarios so that when that situation comes, we know kind of who's doing what. And so, yes, we work very well with PD and very much enjoy training with them just as much as we love working with them. Any book you recommend for studying for national REMT, NREMT? I will tell you that we have found that the JBL testing, the mock testing on Jones and Bartlett learning, that is probably the best training we've had going into the EMT. We are always looking for better ways to train for the National Registry. One of the hardest tests I've ever taken in my life. I mean, I've taken, the what is it for the ASVAB for the military? I had to think. I've taken the ASVAB. I've taken the SAT. Yeah, it was a long time
There's
ago.
only one
Last
drink
time we
in.
talked
What
about
is
tests, I
happening?
lied about it. So
I've taken all those. The National Registry for EMT is the hardest test I've ever taken. But one of the best training techniques we found is the Jones and Bartlett Learning Center. The training on there for the National Registry. Kate, you want to chime in on this? Because
well, don't
Nikita,
forget the DSN-5 because you need to know what's wrong with people's heads.
so
Are
Katie,
you just making stuff up?
No, that's where you find out all the psychological.
yeah, the psychological
nonsense.
evals, yeah.
Like,
But
Yeah.
to be honest, most of that's not on the National Registry. To be honest,
I know, but it's
Yeah.
just fun reading.
it is fun. So Nikita,
Also
actually,
teaches you how
she's
to
one of my
cheat at that
instructors. She is also probably the most proficient in trying to train people. She's got about a 95% pass rate with people that train with her. what would you suggest for training for the National Registry?
I'm the 5% that didn't pass.
Honestly, start with your terminology, because
Yes.
if you know what you're reading, then you have a better shot
I've
at being
found
able
that.
to break it down.
Every time I'm trying to learn something, if I understand what the terms are that are going to be used in that particular thing, then I tend to do a better job whenever I have to study that material, because I know what we're talking about now.
Right.
And with EMT, you're literally learning an entirely new language. And so we teach a 13-week course, and in 13 weeks, we're basically teaching you an entire new language to go and save people's lives, right? Yeah. And it's like, so that's no longer a cut. It's maybe you have an avulsion, or maybe you have it's no longer a bruise. You have an abrasion. You have, all these different things. And it's like,
only women have avulsions.
You have a hematoma, right? Yeah. And so you learn all these phrases because the EMT, their job realistically is to take the layman terms and hand it over to the doctor.
Yeah.
And so it's to find out what is wrong so that the doctor, when they go in to treat, when you make that handoff, it's a smooth transition. So we're literally teaching you a new language and then saying, hey, by the way, go out and save lives with this. And so you're absolutely right. By learning the terminology, that is the best thing you can do to get off the ground.
So I do study sessions for anybody who's been through our academy. And a lot of what we do, it's like, okay, I'll put up a question, try to answer the question. Now let's talk about the terms that are in that question and how we got to the right answer.
Yeah.
Because great, you know the right answer, but why do you know the right answer?
Yeah.
And a lot of times students, when they have the right answer, I'll be like, okay, why'd you pick that answer? Tell me what was going through your brain that led you to that part.
The National Registry test is all about critical thinking. They are going to give you 3 right answers and then ask you which one's the most right. Because what they want is for you to show up on a scene and not just go, oh, that's the problem, and then try to fix it. Because with medical, that may just be a symptom. It may not be the actual problem. They want you to critically think through the situation and do the steps in order, because you may miss something otherwise. And so, just being able to train in that manner will help you on the National Registry. Absolutely.
Yeah. And avulsions. Women have 2, men have none.
That is not an
What?
avulsion.
Wow.
That is wow.
Just
That derailed. That is not.
Wow.
I love it.
So anyway, Jesse said Jared from Bowling for Soup. Yes. That dude's a great guy.
He's actually on 1985, Chuck's version of 1985.
Yeah.
He actually helped him do it.
Yeah, he popped in there with me. We got to talking, and he didn't realize that I was a stalker, and he gave me his phone number. And so we ended up basically rewriting the song. I rewrote the verses, and he rewrote the bridge, and he decided he liked it enough that he sang that bridge on there for me. So
yeah,
that was really cool to be able to have him out there, and I can't wait to when we get to open for him. Maybe I'll get lucky, and he might come out and actually do.
Oh my gosh, that would be
really
so
cool.
Yeah. I'm hoping. But we did put out Jamie and I. We put out the other day, and when I say Jamie and I mean Jamie. Put out that we were looking for. We were setting up the top 3s, right? So where we want to play, who we want to open for, and what states we want to play in, right? So venue, states, and then who we want to open for. And Jarrett was on that list of who we want to open for, and he actually came back that same day, like within hours, and he was like, "Let's make that."
Let's make that stuff happen.
See, my brain just went. Do I have to?
Let's make that stuff happen.
I'm gonna have to edit. Let's make it happen.
Ready.
Yeah. So he came back right away on that. So that was pretty cool for me, because again, from the time I was in the Army, I was in for 13 years, and I was listening to punk rock the whole time.
Yeah.
And I mean, those were some of my musical heroes for the time that I was in.
So Jesse, I'm sitting with a legend. For those of you that haven't went and checked out Chuck Weimer music, you're missing out. I'm telling you that right now. He works with some of the best in the business, from his producers to people that he's collabed with. And oh, by the way, he's actually a pretty good singer himself. So, Chuck, if you haven't checked out Chuck Weimer music, you need to do it. Go check out Chuck Weimer music. If you're on the Tickety Talk, you can go over to his Tickety Talk, which is Chuck Weimer music, and find some of the videos and all that. Pull it up on YouTube. You can just Google it. He's had stuff on the Billboard charts. He's got right now. You're sitting at 33, right, on the Texas charts.
Yep.
He's got a song right now at 33 on the Texas charts. I mean, the guy is just phenomenal. If you haven't listened to his stuff, you need to go check out his music. And I'm not just saying that because we're friends. I'm saying it because I mean it. I'm going to say this, right? I thought it was an absolute honor that you asked us to come and listen to the EP before it released.
Oh,
And
we're
I
glad
will
you
tell
came.
you that EP is some of the best music I have ever heard in my life. And I am a music fan. Obviously, I DJ'd for years, but it is just it is said that the best music comes from when you can connect with it, right? When you can play it.
Yep.
And this EP is an entire album of songs that, especially if you're a veteran or someone in emergency services or someone that's in our field, you connect with. I mean, because it comes from the heart. It comes from somebody who knows.
Well, I'm going to be honest and say it's somewhat unfortunate that you connect with most of the songs on that album. That's a rough album.
Yeah, that's probably your darkest album yet.
Yeah, well, it is for sure. Everything on there was we had to find a place to put all those songs because they don't generally vibe with everything else we're doing.
But Redemption is just, I mean, the whole point of that song, the whole feeling of that song is, while it is dark, it's also, it gives you hope at the end. You know what I mean? Like, that's the point of the redemption, you know? So if you don't know what I'm talking about, go pull it up. Chuck Weimer, Redemption. You need to go listen to it.
Cool thing about that, I did not write that song.
Yeah.
That was actually written by Sharice Carver, and Sharice Carver is fantastic. We actually have a song that I did write that she's taking over to another artist to possibly sing. But there's, and I'm not going to put the cart before the horse here, but we are in talks, and I'll say that because I still have to call her back, but we're in talks with a film crew that's doing a movie, and they're interested in one of the songs off that album.
Awesome.
So
cool.
nothing's locked down. There's no guarantees on anything yet, but it's being talked about. So it might be synced up with a movie, and that would be fantastic because that would be our first with a sync license.
That's very cool. Very cool.
Let's see.
Now
and we'll perform for Good Sourdough.
I'm going to ask you a question here because yeah, that's true. I'm going to ask you a question because I don't really know, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for somebody who's not in the industry, so excuse my ignorance here, but you hear all the time that, you know, sometimes streaming actually hurts the artist because people stream stuff and they don't pay for it and this and that. How is it that an artist actually gets paid? How many different ways can an artist get paid, and how does that actually work? I know that's kind of very open-ended, but
that is a different that's a whole episode by itself.
Yeah.
So just as a quick kind of gloss over, Jamie, do you want to do it? Because I know you know most of this stuff.
Yeah.
So an
I'll
artist
forget
is
one.
going to make, besides live music shows, getting paid from the shows,
Sure.
the most of the actual pay that is actually going to come in is actually through like merch sales and CD sales.
Buy those CDs,
Yeah,
yo.
like we have 4 different CDs. We're about to have another one that's coming out at the beginning of the year with another 6 songs on it. But CD sales, because one CD is equivalent to something like 10,000 streams or something like that.
Oh, really?
One
Really?
CD. Yeah.
Wow.
So, and we sell our CDs.
Depending on platform, but
right.
yeah.
We sell our CDs at $10 for the EPs, and then $15 for the full length album that we have.
Yep.
So for sure, the CD sales. The streaming platforms do pay. Each one pays some weird numbers. You don't even make a penny on them,
per stream, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then radio,
You're making a fraction of a fraction of a penny.
Yeah, it's really low.
It's
radio,
usually
we make
4 decimals in.
a little bit of money on radio, but not much there either.
So what is that? Is that pay per play kind of deal? Pay per spin kind of?
Yes.
Stations have to report to either BMI or ASCAP or CSAC. I can never remember it.
There's also a few others.
So stations have to report, like they do it. Those companies will check in with the radio stations at some point, and they have to report how many times they spun a certain artist or single.
Sure.
But they have to actually report that
Well,
they spun that person.
BMI,
Gotcha.
ASCAP, CSAC, they do audits every now and again as well. I heard Brent Baxter talking about this at one point. He had a song on the Texas charts that went number 1.
Yeah.
But he didn't get paid anything for it.
What?
As the writer, right? So one of the things that he reached out to, I think it was BMI, and he's like, "Hey, I have this song. It went number 1, but I got nothing." And that's kind of wild to me because
how did it go number 1 if it's not being played?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you don't get a number 1 on Billboard on the Texas Regional Radio
without
Report
spins,
without thousands of spins.
Yeah.
Right. So because in 1 week that's going to be, I think it's like I think the lowest we ever saw that was like 1,500
something like that,
1,500 spins, I think.
Yeah, BMI doesn't track it like through AirPlay.
But they can't because they have think about all the stations they have to track. There's every
Right.
station in the United States.
Yeah.
So you're thinking thousands of
There's no
stations,
way.
right? They can't. So they'll do an audit every now and again. And when they do that audit, when they did that audit, it didn't come up. So they were like, well, this song, it's just not getting spun. But yet it
But
went.
how did it
yet
go to
went
number one?
Yeah. So
Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
yeah,
So
that was
it-
pretty wild.
But the thing with it, I look at it, it's a partnership with radio, even though you don't make much on it. In fact, you're losing when you have to pay for a radio promoter.
Right.
But it helps because that's going to kind of give you an idea of where you should be playing your live shows. It'll trickle down eventually to people buying merch. We've actually had somebody reach out through they actually called because
Yeah.
the number was on the website. They wanted to order a CD that had Fire in Your Eyes. They wanted that specific CD,
It's a great song.
but they were having problems on doing it online, trying
Sure.
to get it placed. So they
Yeah.
called so that they could basically place an order with me over the phone, so I could send the CD to them because they heard it on a radio station.
Yeah.
So really,
Look-
in general, your artists are going to make money basically from the live shows, merch, real CDs.
Yeah.
But the streams, the downloads,
They
I mean,
help. It's not.
No,
It helps,
no,
but
don't-
it's not-
No. Don't go that route because the streams and the downloads and all that stuff that actually does factor in. It just takes longer to do it,
Yes.
and we need
Gotcha.
a lot more of it.
Right.
So
gotcha.
if you're trying, if the intent is to support an artist, right? Hey, I want to support this guy. I love what he does. I love his music. Then it's not just I'm gonna go play a song one time,
Right.
right? It's one of those things where like if you listen to radio, great. If you listen to streaming, make sure that you include them in your playlist. You know, whenever if
Gotcha.
that's your goal, if your goal
Yeah.
is to try and support an artist, maybe you got like 5 or 10 artists that you want to support, mix them all into a playlist and let that be your playlist and add in the other stuff you want to hear. You know, maybe you want to hear AC/DC or you want to hear Guns N' Roses. There's no problem with that.
That's good music right there.
But yeah,
Why are you
it's-
looking at my playlist?
Right? That's what I was thinking. You just named my wife's playlist right there.
You don't want to see my playlist.
And it adds up over time. And
Mine's
the
kinda all
more
over the place.
music you have out, the faster you're going to get paid. So for us to get our first 500, I have it set. You can be paid out through CD Babies, who we use to send out all of our music.
Sure.
So for our digital streaming, I have it set to where it comes to us at like the $500 mark. At first, it was a $100 mark, and we had a couple of those come in. But $100 isn't going to do a whole lot
Sure.
in the music business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but when you're starting out, it's nice just to
Right,
see it come
right.
in.
So
Yeah,
now,
right.
okay,
yeah.
someone is actually downloading
Right.
this.
So
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
I have it set for the 500 mark, and that first 500 mark, after we got our first $200 that we did, it took a little bit to get there, and we're not there yet. And we just got paid not too long ago from it, but we're almost a quarter of the way there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the more music you have, the more
That
you
helps
go-
too, right?
Yes.
Obviously, the more content you have for people to download, the more you
Right.
have the ability to share and stream. But
Yeah.
wow, this is very eye opening because I don't think most consumers have any idea, and most fans have any idea how any of this works. Like
No.
how right? Like
Most
they don't
artists don't either.
No.
They
how
most of
you
the
get
artists out
paid,
there,
or even
yeah.
like we talked about this in previous episodes. So by all means, go download this. Check out the other episodes on Spotify or wherever you get your wherever you get the podcast, right? But we talked about this previously. But even like things like how ratings happen. You know, how do you get to be 33 on the Texas chart? How do you get to be on a Billboard chart?
Mhm.
People have no idea that really them participating is a vital part of
Yes.
that. You have to request the song.
Yes.
You have to say, hey, I like this music.
Let me say this though. The biggest thing you can do for an artist is show up to a live show.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is the biggest thing you can do for an artist. Number one, it makes the artist feel that much better when they're putting on their show, right? So you're already going to directly influence their equilibrium, right? So the artist is going to be like, oh wow, they came out to a show. That's great. I love seeing people in the audience that I know support the music. It's great to see people that I've never met before supporting it as well and having a good time and coming out and buying merch and everything. But anytime an artist is in your area, especially if they're an artist like us, and I say that not to separate myself from anybody else, but we try to avoid being in any place more than once
Every couple of months or
couple,
so.
Yeah.
once a quarter we try. Sometimes we end up getting to a few places a little bit more often than that, but it's very rare. We don't like to be in the same place over and over and over again, right? So I'm not going to just play San Antonio 6 weeks out of the year in a row because that doesn't do any good for, number one, the venue. Doesn't do any good for me, the artist, because you're going to come see me at I don't know, let's say Thirsty Horse.
Mhm.
They've had us out there a couple times. And then you're not going to want to go see me at the Stetson Bar. You just saw me, and I'm playing the same set. But when you come out to support the artist, you come out and you wear the merch for the artist that you like, whether it's me, whether it's somebody else, you're giving them an opportunity to have their merch moved around the audience. You're giving them the opportunity to show that there are people that follow them. And it's like when you go into a car dealership, if nobody's buying a car, you're not buying a car.
Well,
No,
and it's a
sure.
conversation piece.
Right.
I've walked through places with your hat on, and people are like, "Hey, who's Chuck Weimer?" I'm like, "Oh, if you haven't listened, you need to go check it out." So if you want to support an artist, that's
Right.
you're absolutely right. Buying the merch, buying the stuff, because if nothing else, it starts the conversation.
That's
Yeah.
funny because I wear my own hat and nobody asked me.
So
Which just for everybody to know that there is merch.
for Rhythm and Rest.
Oh, for the
Yeah.
podcast,
Chuck-
yes, there is.
Chuck deletes.
Chuck
Chuck
deletes.
deletes. Yeah, go back a couple episodes.
Yeah,
to
that's
hear
a
that.
callback.
That's a
y'all.
callback.
They
right there.
they got me
Yeah.
a shirt to remind me that I screwed everything up at one
Yeah.
point.
Hey, I did get a question on mine that says, "Are CDs selling well with the likes of Spotify and streaming?
Yes.
Do CDs
Yeah.
still sell
So-
well?"
We still sell I average probably every show I might sell on average one, when you think about the fact some people buy two of them. People who don't have CD players in their cars or at home, they'll still buy them because they want to have something physical to have. And, because the thing is, if he makes it big, they want to have something from when and he'll autograph it or whatever. So yes, we still sell them. I've had to place orders for them over several different times. So yes, they're
Awesome.
still
If,
huge.
if you make it big, are we still going to do this podcast?
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So-
cool.
I'm
The
gonna have
whole
to put
making
another
it
house
big-
on the property.
We'll
whole-
have a
if you-
studio.
Yeah.
We won't be doing it in the back of the house.
You'll be the fire department for the Chuck Weimer compound.
Yes, I'm in.
Yes.
I'm all about that.
So it's funny you talk about the whole making it big, because we just shared something and
Yeah.
it was kind of, I just get frustrated sometimes.
Sure.
So we had shared this the other day. It was basically, we always hear, "Don't forget us when you make it big." And so we said, he says, "Don't forget us while we're still trying."
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we hear that a lot. But those people who tell us, "Oh, don't forget us when you make it big," I haven't seen them at a show.
Yeah.
So there's no shortage of stories, right? Oh, I knew him when he was nothing. I knew him when he was or I knew them when they were nothing. Well, cool. How good's your relationship now?
Yeah.
Because if you knew them when they were nothing, you were probably a big part of them trying to come up.
Right.
But you didn't support that, so they don't know your name anymore.
Right.
You know?
Or if they do, it's not well.
Well, it's not because they're uppity. It's not because they're
No.
bigger. They're too big for their britches. What it is every time I go somewhere, I meet new people, right? So
Right.
I've got anywhere between 5 to 100 new names I got to remember, right? And hold on. Oh, yeah. Okay. I was gonna
I'm
we
good.
don't,
No.
we don't need to refill
No,
yet.
no. I'm
'cause-
doing time check, so it's the second one.
But so I get to learn like anywhere between 5 and 100 new names, right?
Right.
And those are going to end up piling up on top of names that I haven't heard in a while.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, you're 100% right. So it's funny that you guys are talking about that, because I had a buddy who in baseball, right? It's a little different. You guys are in music, but this was in baseball. He was talking about when he got drafted,
Mhm.
all the people that came out of the woodwork to be like, "Hey, man, congratulations, all this." And he's like, "You haven't been to a game of mine in 15
Right.
years."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I played high school. I played JUCO. I played Division I. I went to the minor leagues. I was in, single A. I was double A. Y'all didn't show up to a single game.
Right.
I was
You know?
playing 6 minutes from your house.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was literally around the
Right.
corner, and you didn't show up. But now you want tickets to come watch me throw? Like,
Right.
no.
And I get,
We know,
people
Simon.
can't-
We know, buddy.
We know people can't make it
Of
to
course.
all the shows. But when we specifically try to book shows in an area, because people tell us, "Oh, if you play closer to our house or closer to
I'll
home,
come.
I'll come
Yeah.
out." So we do.
I get asked all the time, when are you playing in San Antonio?
We've played in San Antonio
3
several
weeks
times
ago.
in the last few months.
3
and
weeks ago.
I
You
just
were
want to point
busy.
out that when you're 2 minutes from my house, I show up.
Yes.
I-
Well,
when you
know,
play Black Creek, I'm there.
and it-
Well,
You know,
with the kids in the front row,
somebody
apparently.
decided to be out of town when we did our songwriters night.
Okay,
But-
all right.
but your kids
I will say though, you missed
made
out on
it-
there was a little girl that was
I
amazing.
I heard she
Yeah.
was phenomenal.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
I
your
heard she was
kids
phenomenal.
made that like just so fun to watch because
Yeah.
they were so into it. And that's the thing is we play so many family friendly venues.
Yeah.
Yes, there's some we play that aren't.
Right.
But most of where we play is family friendly. So people tell me, "Oh, well, I can't bring the kids," or "I can't." You can bring the kids,
Yeah,
and you know what? Most of the time they're gonna sit and a lot of them are gonna listen.
my kids love it. My kids left us at dinner.
yes,
and went to your
I
table
know.
and watched from the front row. And I'm like, okay, just forget mom and
Uh-huh.
dad.
And
Like,
they
Well,
were so
to the point,
good.
The youngest
Yeah.
was like, I want to go sit up there. And I'm like, okay, but you have to eat some chicken before you go.
and he
Like,
never sat still. He sat there
Never.
the
He
entire
He sat-
show.
and he's 3.
3.
Yes.
Yeah.
3. And he sat there and just listened and was clapping and staring at the drums and then staring at Chuck.
He did
At
ask
one
me
point,
later
he
if
was
Chuck
like-
would do wheels on the bus. I said, buddy, I don't think that's in the set. I don't think that's a.
Hey, Simon made a good point here, and we've been talking directly about music, and that's mostly because that's what I do. I
Right.
do music. But
Right.
Simon pointed out, he said all small businesses go through this.
100%.
absolutely.
100%.
And like when he makes sourdough and no one buys it, and he targeted Jamie
Yeah.
on that one.
I
So
bought it last time I saw
Hey,
you guys.
it's fair.
I have heard
It's
very
fair.
good things about the sourdough.
Oh my gosh.
I have to acquire. Simon, hit us up. I gotta acquire some.
It's so good.
I hear it's
Well,
delicious.
But
you know,
yes.
it's crazy because the fire department works the same way. Everybody wants to donate to the fire department when there's another disaster that's happening in the
Yeah.
area.
Oh, yeah.
But you
Well,
know, we
let's hold that. Let's hold that
Okay.
because we're gonna switch this over. We're basically y'all that are watching live.
Don't go anywhere.
And let me go ahead and did I get it? There we go. I
Yeah.
got that
Do
one.
you want me- Can I do it too?
Marker.
Go ahead. I just need to know where
no,
to,
that's
or I can just put that marker in there. So I just needed to know where to switch the cutoff
We're
there.
on to episode 2.
For those
job.
that are live, we're just going to modify this a little bit, where we're just going to keep on running for those that are watching on video because we appreciate all the support. What the crap?
And I don't know or not did. That's crazy.
That,
Is that from the Chinese government? That's all I want to know.
probably.
TikTok.
We
See,
are
if
being
anybody ever
watched.
wondered if TikTok's yeah, anyway. Excuse me.
we are being
So
watched.
That's
we're
all right.
gonna just keep on going for those that are watching live, and we're just gonna drop in intros and outros, and then that'll make it easier. So yes, we will be reviewing another whiskey in just
Yeah.
a few moments. But I got my marker in. We're ready to go, and yeah. So here we are.
So picking up from where we left off
So-
last episode.
So you were talking about how the fire department, they only want to donate when there's a national emergency or
A big
a city
a
large,
big
emergency,
a
something
local
large
that's
area.
natural disaster.
relevant to
People
them,
wanting to donate.
right?
So
Yeah.
there was a huge grass fire that happened a couple years ago now, and when that happened, it wasn't directly in our area. We did have a crew that went up there. You went up there for a couple days.
I was actually, I was the number 2 on the location for a small portion of time.
Where was it at?
so
Up by the lake, up by
by
Medina,
Medina
Lake.
Oh, okay.
Massive fire got into the forest and burned up several acres. It
And-
was a pretty big deal.
And when that happened, everybody was like, where can we bring donations? What can we do? And it got so overloaded in that area. They were like, look, thank you for the donations, but please support your local departments. Like, we're good. We have everything
Yeah.
we need for now. We can pull from the local guys if we need to, but support your local. And we got so many donations, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
And then
the-
everything
for-
just kind
yeah,
of
for
fizzled
the
out.
last 8 months, it's been crickets.
Everybody's been everything's been good.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's not a knock, right? People just they don't think about it. Why
Right,
would they?
right,
Because there isn't something going on. You're not in the news. You're not in the forefront. Why would they? But it's a lot of the same stuff. You know, if you don't support your local businesses on a regular, if you don't go down and support your local artists on a regular, if you don't go down and support your local volunteer fire department on a regular, they will fall behind. You want Chuck Weimer to make it big? Go to a Chuck Weimer show.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
buy some merch. You
Well,
want your
bring your
volunteer
friends
fire
out,
department
yeah.
to be pretty good? Donate. Go help them out. You know.
Right.
Spin the
You
song
know,
every
if
day.
You want your sourdough people to make sourdough for the next
Exactly.
10 years? Go support them. Buy some sourdough.
Well,
you know?
and don't complain that there's nowhere to eat in this town. Well, when's the last time you actually went out and sat at one of the restaurants?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, because it's the same deal.
Divine, Texas, which obviously that's where I'm the fire chief in Divine, Texas. They've got the motto. I love the Chamber of Commerce there. They're doing a great job. They're trying to rebuild business there, but their motto is buy local, right? And that's not a knock against box stores. That's not a, but if you're going to go to Walmart, don't go to San Antonio's Walmart. Go to the one that employs the people from your town. Go to the one that sure, it may be a little smaller or whatever, but it's the one that's paying your neighbor down the street
Right.
to work. How about you go to that one instead of running all the way to San Antonio where you're going to get the same stuff? Go to the one that's local. The local restaurants. Go there, have a bite to eat. We got plenty of Mexican restaurants. You ain't got to go to San Antonio and get Mexican.
It's true.
Yeah.
So absolutely support your local businesses and your local artists and your local fire department.
For
That's
sure.
our pitch.
Jesse Slaughter says one of the most interesting things about social media and creators is the way that cross promotion is not only acceptable, he amended. Normal business doesn't work that way. Let me know what you think.
Well, we're kind of a prime example of that.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have multiple locations where people can find us.
Yep.
And we do our best to try and be available and try and build up each one, but we kind of have to focus on the one that does the most activity. So right now that seems to be TikTok, and we're hoping that the Spotify, Apple, wherever it is that people are listening as the audio version, we're hoping that builds up because that's probably the most viable way for us to.
Or the YouTube. Thank you, Jesse.
Yeah, YouTube is good, but the other one, because Jesse is like the only person that really tunes in on YouTube.
Yeah.
So we're kind of doing YouTube for you, Jesse. But
And we're okay with that. It's fine.
yeah, but I mean, we threw a big net out to see where people are going to tune in and where people are going to watch. And it seems like TikTok and streaming, but streaming is by far a lot further down the line than TikTok is. And of course, we have a couple other options, which is why we're going to end up dumping Streamyard here before too long. For those that don't know, they pretty much doubled their pricing, and they basically priced themselves out of the market for us.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the reach that would make any
Worthwhile.
sense.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense. But as far as cross-platform and everything goes, you have to.
Yeah.
Even if you are a normal business, you need to be using every platform you can possibly think of to try and get your message out there. Because as I just demonstrated, I have one on YouTube. I have, we have a couple on Facebook, maybe.
Yep.
We've got 2 different TikToks running. We've got a number of people that are tuning in over there. And what we're doing, we're really just a couple of idiots having a good time. Well, at least one idiot in this chair, and then
No, we're both idiots. It's fine.
The fire chief, the idiot, and their chaperones to make sure that they don't go off the rails too far.
Chaperones.
Yeah.
But I kind of look at this as our scheduled like it's not a date night out because we have kids around the house, but it's our schedule. Like we get together and just talk
Because
we
our
genuinely get
schedules
to
are
have
to
fun.
a point where we have to schedule our fun time.
Yeah,
I had to do that
our
with
schedules
our
have gotten so
daughter.
crazy. We have to, if we don't schedule our hangout time, we
It's
may
never
not get
gonna
it for a
happen.
while.
Right.
Yeah.
Adulting is hard.
It does
So hard.
stinks. But
I think we addressed it, but go ahead. What you're saying,
Yeah.
I just in case we didn't, Jesse, let us know, and then
even to that point, cross platforms, all that, but even like cross genre, right? Like our whole show is based on the fact that you're a country music artist, I'm a fire chief, and we're doing a podcast together. So you're taking the fire world and the Texas country music world and colliding them in hopes, right, that one the dog disagrees. In hopes that one, we build your fan base, and 2, it gets more people interested in what we're doing in the fire service and all that. And so I think it's very important that we get out there and work with those around us that make us better. Sometimes, Jesse went on to say, I was thinking more about working with your competitors. The thing about business is competition's a good thing. People don't understand that. When Coke and Pepsi are side by side, it's not because they're necessarily battling each other. It changes the thought process. So they did a psychological study on this. When there's a Coke machine and you walk past it, you think to yourself, do I want a Coke? And it's either yes or no. And so about 50% say yes, 50% say no, and keep walking, right? When there's a Coke and Pepsi machine side by side, you walk up and you go, which one do I want? want, right?
Fair.
So automatically the sales for both
Mhm.
go up
Fair.
because you've changed the psychological of it, right? So do I want to go see Chuck Weimer or do I want to go see Bowling for Soup? Well, you know what? It doesn't matter. You're going to go see one of them.
About that is Pepsi knew that as well.
Yeah.
Because there was a point when somebody who was working at Coke offered Pepsi the secret recipe for Coke, and they turned them into the feds because they knew that they had to have competition in order to
Correct.
to keep the sales and everything up.
That's right.
Oh,
I prefer
wow.
Pepsi over Coke, anyways.
So apparently, Jesse was
I go
talking
the other
about
route. I'm
working
taking
with competitors, and you were kind of addressing that. From the music side, though, I will tell you that that's a hard one for me because there really are there is no competition in
Yeah,
music.
you want to see everybody win.
Well, right, and
Now, not everybody thinks that way, though.
right.
Unfortunately.
So for us, there's no competition in music because how many times are you going to play a Chuck Weimer song before you get tired of listening to Chuck Weimer, right?
Never.
You're gonna want to listen.
Never. I love it.
You're
Play
gonna,
it again.
You're going to put like 7, 20, 30, 50 artists in your mix, and you're going to listen to a bunch of stuff. You know, I listen to punk rock when I'm not listening to country. You know, Greg listens to Barry Manilow when he's not listening to Chuck Weimer. So I mean, it all works out.
You're
really.
pretty
You joke.
close. I'm not
You
gonna lie.
joke.
I'm a fan of Old Blue Eyes, to be honest.
There you go.
It's not
Sammy.
it's not uncommon for me to have something from the 1920s or 1930s on in the truck if it's not Chuck Weimer.
We actually had to make a rule that he is not allowed to listen to the jazz channel while we are driving cross country because he just gets so relaxed.
I love it.
And it's like, okay, putting me to sleep is fine, but you can't put the driver to sleep.
Yeah.
You know,
I would be able to listen to jazz because it frustrates me because once it's recorded, it's no longer jazz.
okay. All right. That was fun.
No. How about you guys try that?
Hey, we
whiskey?
need a new review.
Hey, just saying, jazz is an improv music, and once it's been recorded, it's no longer
It's
improv.
no longer improv. You're right. You're
All right,
correct.
so
what are we doing now?
This is
this is the bottle.
Cool
Yeah.
bottle.
So
Yes.
this bottle we're actually going to keep because I think it's
Yeah, you
cool.
better.
Look at that.
That is
Isn't
a
cool?
really
Check
cool
this out,
bottle.
guys. Look at this bottle.
a guitar-shaped
There we go.
whiskey bottle.
With a pick on it.
Yeah.
Like it's
That's-
the real deal.
I'm not gonna lie, I felt really bad opening it. I was
Yeah.
like, I am not the person that needs.
Neither
to
one of
open
us have
this.
any idea how good this whiskey is.
Well,
but
I just
the
tried-
bottle's awesome.
I just tried it while you were showing it off.
What the crap?
It's not bad.
We're supposed to do it together.
Well, no, we already cheersed.
Oh.
As soon as I tasted it, I knew he wasn't going to like it, but I thought it was pretty all right.
That's good stuff.
You're silly.
You were such a liar.
So to
God, that's
be
that is
fair,
worth cleaning the car with.
this is an
Oh.
inexpensive whiskey.
Yeah.
The bottle's nice though.
It's a very nice bottle. It's an under 50.
God.
I literally bought it because of the bottle.
It does not
Oh,
cost
wow.
more than $50, so you guys can go get that at your.
Really?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
We were looking at some top shelf bottles that were out there, and we decided against that because we were grabbing 2 plus some airline bottles. But
Sure.
Yeah.
the we got sold on it for the same reason you did. You like the look of it.
Yeah, it's
and,
very cool.
Yeah. Keita, though, if you'd like, you can pour some of what's in the decanter out there for Greg, and then that way
I
he
did
can
like
still,
it.
he can still drink along. That's got that
Yeah.
cinnamon flavor to that Slow River blend.
We definitely have preferred taste. I am definitely the more sweeter sugar type. You know,
but
and you're the more like
that Slow
whiskey.
River, I love it. This is my
it is good.
that's my third bottle of it.
That's really good.
Of all the whiskey, and we try whiskeys all the time, but
We do.
that's the third one that I've actually brought into this house just because I liked it.
Yeah.
And we ended up having a break between seeing each other, which is why the second bottle never got touched by you, is because we just didn't see each other again. And I was like, well, shoot, that was the whole reason I bought it. But
I'm not waiting.
it ain't just gonna sit there. It ain't just gonna sit there. I really wanted something, so. Yeah.
So I've got one of my firefighters. He's also a firefighter for the state, Kevin Clinton. And
Yeah.
Kevin, wherever you're at right now, please be safe, brother. I know fire conditions out there are horrible. I haven't heard of any major fires around the area. Hopefully you're not out there working too hard, but I know they got you deployed right now. And so please be safe. God bless you. Thank you for what you do. These wildland firefighters that travel around and put out these wildland fires, these guys are a whole different, they're a whole different breed. I mean, it's a whole different game.
Yeah.
It's one thing to fight a structure fire, but when you're talking about fighting trees that are 100 foot tall and the fire's running above your head, that's a whole different breed of firefighter right there. And
And
so,
you don't even know if the fire's over you yet because
Right.
it might have jumped.
right. So Kevin, you guys be safe. Thank you for being on the podcast. Thank you.
What was that show? The Fireland or whatever it is?
Fire Country.
Fire Country,
The one I've
yeah.
been watching.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? How?
We don't
How-
watch
That's-
those kind of shows. In our
That's
house.
that's
I
not
don't watch police
firefighting,
shows
so
very
please
often
don't.
either.
Yeah, exactly. For the same reason.
Well, I sit there. Okay, so
I made
Simon
him
has a
watch
question
Hawaii
about
5-0, and
disasters.
he was so mad.
okay,
What is
ahead,
the question,
Simon.
Simon?
Simon's
Simon,
gonna have
go
a
ahead.
question about disasters, but
Oh.
while he's getting that up, I drive Jamie nuts because while we're watching those
Oh.
shows,
You nitpick it apart?
Gosh.
no, I just sit there and I go, nope.
Mm-mm.
Same.
Wrong.
That wouldn't happen.
That wouldn't happen. Nope.
How
That-
do you know?
Let me just tell you,
Question.
cars don't explode. Let me just tell you that cars don't just randomly explode. That doesn't
Look,
happen. That's not
Apparently,
a thing.
houses
Still-
do. Jamie had one blow up behind us
So
a
that one
couple
off of
days ago.
35.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what
What?
was in
It
it,
did-
but
it
I
did-
heard the explosion.
Okay, it didn't explode, Jamie.
Well,
It did.
Okay. All right. Anyways, we're move on.
I
What's the
heard
question?
All right, so it's
Something
how do
went
we know where
wrong.
to donate? There's always bad things about different organizations, and then I'm also in insurance. Yes, they do just explode.
Okay. There's usually a contributing factor to the explosion. I'm not going to go down that road. That's a whole nother episode we can do on another day. But as far as the donations, the biggest thing is that you make sure you know who you're donating to. So
You got it,
your
Jesse.
major national chains, your Red Cross and things like that, those are usually really safe. They do a really good job. First of all, they vet their people. They vet the process. Avoid. Here's the thing. I would say people want to have good hearts when emergencies happen, and so they go on Facebook and they find somebody who's, we're collecting for donations for the.
Mhm.
That's, I would tell you, stay away from that. Don't do that. Go through your local fire department, go through your local law enforcement. So the hurricanes that just went up the East Coast, Medina County Sheriff's Office, actually the sheriff, Randy Brown, took a ton of donations and his officers and escorted it all the way over to North Carolina to present that to them. Of course, Randy Brown, just a phenomenal sheriff, phenomenal guy, but said, we got to do something. And so he went and collected all this stuff, but he's the sheriff, right? Like that's a pretty reliable source. Stay away from anybody that you don't know that doesn't have a reputable past, or if you just don't know in general, go find somebody, because when these emergencies happen, I promise you, Red Cross gets involved, they get donations. Your local fire department gets involved, they get donations. Your local law enforcement typically get involved, they get donations. Go find a source that you can truly trust to make those donations to, and then they will get to where they need to go.
I would make the suggestion, especially like right now. Where did that like come from? Especially right now, I'm channeling my sister. If you
Like, oh my gosh.
and I'm not trying to promote TikTok here because I've said their name about 85 times in the past hour, but if you go on TikTok, because the news doesn't seem to want to show it, and you look and see who's out there doing the thing, right?
Yeah.
So in North Carolina, there's a bunch of people trying to go up the side of a mountain trying to rescue people, or at least find the remains of the
Correct.
people that are missing, right? There's still 100 and something people missing from the
At least.
from Helene,
Yeah.
right? So if you can go find who's actually out there on the ground doing work, I would recommend you donate to those people, because you can see, you can actually physically see they're out there, they're doing the work. And more often than not, they're not doing it on the government dime, because like right now, Buttigieg put in, don't be flying over, or whatever he put in, the all the stuff that is blocking people from helping. Which, whether it's intentional or not, maybe there's a good reason for it, but you have those people that are out there actually on the ground doing the thing, and you know it, you see it. So those are the people I would suggest helping. The local churches out there that are out there providing shelter, providing blankets, providing food. Whether you're religious or not, all right. Typically,
It's about distribution.
the churches out in the area are typically going to be the ones
Correct.
that are going to open their doors without having some kind of a prerequisite for people to
Correct.
get that kind of
So
support.
Simon said, so kind of like donate to locals as opposed to a major organization.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, stay away
Well,
from the major organizations.
And I will tell you, again, it goes back to doing your research. I will tell you that a lot of times these major disasters aren't that major. I'm just going to tell you that most of the time when you see a hurricane come through, I've talked to chiefs that have been along the coast for 50 years, and they're like, typically most hurricanes, yes, there's some wind, yes, there's some rain, but it huffs and puffs and goes away, and everything's fine. The media, oftentimes will hype that.
Mhm.
Well, right off the bat, when Helene hit the East Coast, we had departments hitting up right immediately, going, "Hey, this isn't media hype. This is real deal. I mean, this is bad. It is our chops, causing mudslides. It's the flooding is outrageous,
Oh,
and
a couple
dams
dams
broke, and so that's the other part of it. Do the research on how bad it actually is. The stuff in North Carolina really is that bad. They really do need the extra help.
Mhm.
And then, yes, go to your local reputable places like the churches and things like that, and that'll get your donation.
I've heard some things about those dams busting. Apparently and I'm not saying nothing. I'm not a conspiracy theorist by any stretch of the imagination, but apparently that's that area in North Carolina is like heavy lithium.
Oh,
So anyway, just food for thought.
Lithium and water that doesn't go well together.
Well, but if you're trying to start making your own batteries in the United States, that's a great place to do it.
Yeah.
So for me, I say find the local places, and that's gonna be your best bet as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But and contact those fire departments out there too. Find out, hey, what do you need?
Jesse chimed in and he said, "Hey, most podcasts only go about 10 episodes, so you guys are already beating the odds."
Oh wow, really?
And he would know. They run a pretty successful one, so we're beating the odds. Look at us. Yay!
We're beating the odds. It's just because we like to hang out together.
I know.
We just won't quit. No one has to watch us. We're still going to be here.
We're just doing it. We're just talking to each other, and
somebody put a microphone here,
and we just decided to record it. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And then we brought the spouses in too, because we wanted, we didn't want them talking about us in the other room.
Let's be honest.
we'll
we
just
absolutely
talk
had to
about
have
you over
chaperones.
here.
We needed chaperones, otherwise this thing would derail
funny.
bad.
Oh yeah, it would.
I remember the first iteration that we tried to do of this back before we brought Greg in, and it wasn't scripted, but it was like we had, all right, we need to talk about these points and these points, and then graphics would be put in over the top, and it was just.
How would that go?
Well, it made it past 10 episodes, but not past a year.
Yeah.
I
will tell you, even you and I have tried to do some scripted stuff.
Oh, it just doesn't
That's
work.
just not who we are.
No.
That's just let the conversation flow.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
I mean, if there's something we need to talk about,
right,
we'll make sure. But
there are times we come in and go, hey, can we hit these points tonight? Or, hey, can we make sure we discuss this? But for the most part, if you're watching this podcast, this is it.
Surprise!
We're just as shocked as you are.
This is like if we were just sitting around the house just talking.
Yeah,
this is what would happen.
There's a joke in the fire service. They say, when they turn in the letter, it's, "Dear Chief, no one was more surprised than I." That's kind of how we are with this podcast.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, you get what you get. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which leads to, I think we've talked about, if people want something addressed at another podcast.
Yeah.
Leave comments. Even if we can't address it today, we can address it another time. If there's a subject they want us to talk about, sure, tell us something, because sometimes we need a little bit of guidance. Otherwise,
100%.
It's hard telling what kind of rabbit hole we will travel.
100%. And just like if you're paying attention tonight, we've been on, we've answered questions from YouTube, we've answered questions from TikTok, we've answered questions from Facebook. Look, if you get involved, it makes the conversation that much more fun.
Yes.
Yeah, and this has got to be confusing for the Spotify listeners.
Yeah, Spotify listeners are going, what is happening right now?
I just know when I listen
to be fair, four of them are in the room.
When I listen to shut up. Oh my god. When I listen to our episodes, I know we've talked about this before, but I just did it the other day when we were listening. I am laughing at what's going on, and then because we record it, a while back. I'm like, wait, did we talk? We talked about that? I don't remember talking about that.
Oh my gosh, that was hilarious. I can't believe you said that.
We're driving back. I'm trying to listen to another podcast. I actually have to turn off the other podcast so I can finish listening to us, even though I listened to it twice already by living it, by editing it. Now I have to listen to it the third time.
But it's hilarious.
Well, and the thing I found is in the room, we all miss something because there's so much going on, right?
Yes.
Like the four of us, we're all doing something, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're doing production. You're over here editing while we're working all this. I'm over here drinking different waters, whatever.
Sometimes somebody has to leave the room.
Somebody has to leave the room.
Or
and
pets.
so when you go back and you
I got
listen to
It's
it,
me.
it's like, oh my God, that's hilarious. How
Yeah.
did I not
Yeah.
remember that, or how did I not catch that?
Yeah.
So
I was listening to one the other day, and I was like, "Dang, I keep cutting Keita off." I'm like, she's gonna get really annoyed. She ain't gonna want to be here no more because I'm just, I'm that guy. I'm just like, yeah, and then this, and it's like, oh, shut up, Chuck. Just shut up for a minute and let other people talk. Just don't nod your head.
So I'm not gonna lie.
you do kind of dominate the show a little bit. I
It
mean,
says
it's
the
hard to
man
get
who
an
dominates
the
word in
show.
edgewise.
I'm going to do a word count on this episode. I guarantee you, aside from Keita, I have the least. Good night,
Maybe.
good night, Jesse. Good night.
Maybe.
Good night, Jesse.
Maybe.
Thank you for being on.
I'm not gonna lie. I am used to kind of being walked on when it comes to talking.
Wow. Wow.
Hang on.
I thought
I
she was
do
talking about the
not-
military
Stop cutting
myself.
her off. She's talking.
What were you saying, honey?
I don't know.
I'm
it's
sorry he's so
gone.
rude.
You're used. No. You're used to being walked on. I
Yeah,
said that I thought it was
a whole
military
way I
related.
was going there, and
Yeah,
it's gone
Yeah,
now.
see?
so.
He took credit, and I said I thought that was just because you were in the military. I didn't think it was because of him, but Jamie was like, "Must be Greg."
I did not say that.
That's exactly what you said without saying it.
Your face said it. We saw it, Jamie. No, I'm just kidding.
Do you have subtitles?
Yeah, the subtitles.
Simon said, "Blame it on the whiskey."
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's funny though because our four personalities really do work really well together.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, while we do have some dominating personalities in here, I'll be the first to admit it, right? I go back and I listen to the first 3 episodes and I'm like, I'm sorry, Chuck. Like, I really didn't let you talk. To be fair, you kept bringing in people that were really
I
cool
know.
and that I knew, and so that was helpful. But
You're
reminds
not
me.
cool.
I still have to delete one episode.
No. we're
Fair
not.
enough. Fair enough. But you know, our four personalities and the way we work it together. You know, I'm not just saying this so other people go watch the podcast. It really is kind of cool to watch.
Yeah.
You know, this dynamic. So
So Keita gave raised eyebrows, and I'm not afraid to put it on here.
Mm.
We were kind enough to bring somebody in.
your producer was like, "Hang on."
We were kind enough to bring somebody in and give them a platform that wasn't their normal platform.
Sure.
And they basically treated me like I was taking advantage of them when I reached out to give them a congratulations. So since
Oh.
they are on one of our platforms, if this ever goes beyond the 11 people that listen to it, I don't want them to be able to go back and, oh, let me go find that thing, right? Because
Gotcha.
if they don't want our support, then we're going to make sure we remove it.
No, that makes perfect
Yeah.
sense.
So talking about our guests,
And that's without calling out their name.
yeah, very good.
Very.
I'm very proud of you. Of our guests, there are 2 that have been my favorites, and
And I'm
I
deleting
love
one of them.
no, that's not it. I love all of our guests, but to be honest, my 2 favorite guests we've had on thus far is your dad.
Mm-hmm.
I loved him being on the podcast. If you haven't checked that out, you need to go check the podcast with Just Chuck. It is a phenomenal podcast. He's hilarious. He's one of the best storytellers I've ever met in my life. I love him to death. So, anyways, that's one of. And then with your producer,
Oh,
Mac.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Mac is
Yes.
just amazing. That guy is just
We could easily bring him out again and totally new subjects to be talked about because there's
absolutely.
so much.
well. He's been in the industry for so long.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's worked with so many great artists, and he's so talented himself. And just listening to him talk through his process, it's like watching a pitcher throw a hitter. It's like it's watching an artist paint a Mona Lisa. It was just like listening to this guy talk. I was just like, I think you can make me sound good, and I know I can't sing. You know, like that's impressive. So, anyways, those are my 2 favorite that we
That's
brought
funny.
on.
Yeah, he's fantastic. No, I'm not deleting either of those 2.
No.
No,
Um,
I'm looking forward to Thanksgiving and
Yeah.
how that will work at the firehouse with all the other people that are going to be around and who we end up
Absolutely.
getting on
Oh,
and how many
absolutely.
episodes actually will come out of that one day.
There could be several, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest. I will say that my guys that have come on, guys like Lucas and even Chief Medina here from Lytle, those guys have enjoyed being on the podcast, and we've enjoyed having them on as well. So,
my favorite was when y'all had Elon Musk, or did I have too much whiskey? Too much whiskey, Simon. Too much whiskey. I did
see,
hear.
I
Nope.
landed my rocket out back, and it landed perfectly, and so just kidding.
That was Milan Husk that you were missing.
Milan
there. So what we might have to do on the Thanksgiving one, if we're going to do this from the station on Thanksgiving, what might have to happen is I may have to sit behind the table the whole time, because I know you're going to have a lot of other things going on, but I might just have to sit there and kind of talk to all your
people through.
Yeah, just bring them all in, because that's an opportunity for them.
And we can set up in another room so we're not getting all the background noise.
Oh no, I think the background noise is going to be a good thing.
You think?
Yeah, kind of like we do when we do it live at Black Creek.
Okay.
That background lets everybody know that we're out on site.
Yeah, we can pull that wall, so people that don't want to be a part of that, they can be in the other half. True. You know what I mean? But this gives them a chance to actually sit there, because I've had a lot of I've got some folks on right now that are, they're my station folks, and they like watching what we do, so it'll be a great opportunity for them to be a part of that, and to be in on that. I've got a lieutenant who I would love for you to talk to. I mean, this guy is he's a Marine. God bless him.
I'll bring him.
I was gonna say former Marine, but we both know there's no such thing, right?
I'll bring the Crayolas.
But he worked for TxDOT, and he only got in fire about 3 years ago, and now he's one of my lieutenants, and he's one of my paid guys, and phenomenal dude, but fun to talk to.
He could talk for 20 minutes just on his mustache.
Yeah, he could talk
on his mustache.
So he's I know you guys have seen on our social media. We've got the guy that has the mustache that goes around. Well, he's that guy.
Yeah, that's funny.
The best is when you confuse the Marines by switching out crayons for markers.
Oh, yeah. They're going to eat the wrong marker.
When that ink explodes, you should see the look on their face is just like,
oh, my gosh.
Oh, I think that's a good stopping point.
That is. That's a great spot. There you go.
All right. So we already got our outro set. So let me go ahead and just fumble around with this for a second. You guys want to call it right there? You want to do a third one? It's your call.
It's up to you. I'm
it's
strong.
10 o'clock. We're okay.
Give your kids.
Yeah.
So
We're still good?
They're all down.
Okay. So
I can go grab one.
Let me grab a marker here. And then, Jamie, if you want to grab any of the three. Yeah, just one of each.
You need to finish whatever's in your thing.
You got to work early tomorrow?
Not anymore.
All right. Kita, you're not allowed to pour him any of my good whiskey anymore, because
he's not going to taste it.
He
anyway.
ends up shooting it.
You just told me to get rid of it so we could get more.
I did not say that. She might have said that, but I did not say that. No, I'm teasing. I'm teasing. That's actually a really good whiskey.
Although I know how you drink that because it's got cinnamon in it. But
yeah, that's
I
actually
smelled
really
it
good.
and I was like, oh god.
Oh yeah, Jamie. I kissed Jamie last night and she was like, I don't like that taste, and I was like, weird.
Yeah.
And rude.
Yeah. I hope you're talking about the whiskey.
No doubt.
Can I get a couple more of those?
Yeah.
All right. So for those that are watching at home, we are basically just doing a little bit of a transition here. Let me go ahead and knock this. By the way, that what is that anyway? The guitar whiskey?
It is called 6th Street Bourbon.
6th Street Bourbon. It actually tastes a lot like Four Roses.
Okay.
If you remember back to Four Roses, which was kind of a
So it's bottled by Dime Box Distillery in Giddings, Texas.
Yeah. That reminds me of Four Roses. It even has a flowery
4-year age straight bourbon whiskey.
It's got a little bit of a flowery aftertaste to it.
I just thought when I saw the bottle, I was like,
oh yeah.
That's so
is
cool.
Giddings, Texas known for music? I thought
Gideon?
Giddings actually has the state the state school for boys or whatever it is that's up there. That I just know that because our private school I used to work at, they used to play football against them.
Against Giddings?
Mm-hmm.
I just wondered because that's where this is distilled. So I wondered where the guitar shape come from, but it's a cool bottle.
Yeah. Well, because it's called 6th Street Bourbon, which would be after 6th Street in Austin.
Yeah.
And that's why I was asking, because I was like, do they have a big 6th Street there?
And Giddings,
I didn't think about it being in Austin.
Yeah, I don't think Giddings is too far from the Austin area.
I got you.
So before we crack those, do we have another 30 minutes in us?
I do.
Okay. I just want to make sure because I don't have a topic.
Yeah.
we never do.
Yeah.
Guys, we're going to rely on you to give us topics. We're going to rely on you to dive in on this podcast. We need you to chime in. What do you want us to talk about? Be a part of the podcast. Be a part of the information. Look, what you see is what you get. Myself and Chuck Weimer, we sit here and we talk about anything under the sun. We will talk politics, though I try to veer away from that. He doesn't. He doesn't
You
shy
do
away from
what?
it all.
You tried to veer.
I try to veer away from that, but he'll walk right into it head first.
You set up pitfalls for me to walk into it. What are you talking about? You're like,
But we'll talk Texas country music. We'll talk fire. We'll talk whatever it is you want to talk. We'll even talk a little bit about sports and current events and things like that. Obviously, if you don't know Chuck Weimer, he's a Texas country music star. He is phenomenal. How long have you been doing this job now?
5 years.
5 years. And already been on the Billboard charts. He's always on the Texas country charts, always releasing good music. So we got a lot to talk about there if you want to talk about a little bit of Texas country. And we'll be able to talk a little bit of fire and EMS and all that stuff as well.
Guess who's on?
And that's
Ken from Humdinger Booze.
And that's a humdinger.
Ken, we're in the third episode right now, and I apologize because he did not want to wait for me to be able to join him
Okay,
in
let's
that.
do it again. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go.
Now that's a humdinger. Yes. So
We love you, Ken. God bless you. Thank you.
Humdinger Booze, we definitely want to thank you guys for all your support. We appreciate you, and it's a lot of fun. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
all right, I'm dropping the marker. This is where we start the next one. So,
Let's get into the next one.
so here we are, Ken. You're brand new to tonight's episodes, but we're looking for topics, y'all. That's where we're at. We're looking for topics.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, we're just going to ramble, and there are plenty of politics going on, and we probably don't want to talk about
No.
those.
November's right around the corner.
It is. Oh my gosh, it is. Everything has changed so much too, right? Everybody's like,
Here we
"Oh,
go.
this person's leading. This person's leading.
Yeah.
This person's leading. This person's leading." It's crazy. Anyway,
I literally watched, this is no joke, I literally watched 3 different outlets the other day. Watching all 3 outlets, one outlet had one person so far ahead, one outlet had the other person so far ahead, and one outlet said they're both going to bomb. I'm like, there's not a
They're
third
both
option.
gonna
I don't know.
bomb.
I don't know exactly what you're going to do here.
That's
So,
funny.
I don't really want to talk politics.
me neither.
So,
Me neither.
Well, I have an idea or a topic
Uh-oh.
or something. Well, it's more because this is the area that I'm struggling with. And I know you guys have had some before. You might be able to direct me or someone I can talk to. Finding sponsors and
Sponsors.
like that.
Yeah.
because
Oh,
We were talking
So-
about donations in the last episode, and yeah, that was one of the things I wanted to mention. Even just for what we're doing right here, like donations are welcome. We're not going to ask for them,
right.
Right.
But I'm geared
But
more
here's the thing.
towards
I will tell you, when it comes to donations and it comes to sponsors, if you don't ask, you won't get it. And that's
Fair.
the
See,
bottom
I
line.
think the problem for me is I'm not even sure how to word any sort of letter or email or whatever.
how to make that
Because-
first
let me help
approach.
Right.
you on that.
Yeah,
yeah,
because-
so we can absolutely help you on that.
Like, for example, we really do need to get a new trailer.
Yeah.
We are outgrowing our trailer.
We have
for-
outgrown.
Yes,
What
I
We-
mean,
we've been having to
great
put stuff in the
problem
back
to
of the
have.
I
van.
know, yeah. So
That's
we have
awesome.
outgrown the trailer. We need a bigger trailer to haul all of the band equipment.
Sure.
And we don't have that kind of spare money lying around to be able to just go buy one. We may have to be self-promoting our next single because we really can't afford to pay for our
Yeah,
promoter
Yeah.
anymore. I mean, it's
thousands
not,
of dollars.
It's not cheap. So someone who could help with something like that. Just even some upgrades on some equipment, just things like that. I don't know how to get a sponsor.
Sponsors or investors.
Yeah.
I
would even
somebody
think-
who wants
yeah.
to invest and then have a return on the back end.
Well, that's what I was going to tell you. So here's the thing. As a volunteer department, right, people think, oh, they're volunteers, so, it doesn't cost hardly any money. That is an absolute lie, right? And so what you have to do is, what we have found is that, and I'll absolutely let Nikita talk more to this because 100% she's the one that does this for
This
us.
is going to be the Kita episode.
Absolutely. but my 2 cents on that is you have to get them to buy in to what you're doing, and more importantly, like you said, you have to show them the value in it, not the necessarily monetary. It doesn't always have to be monetary value, right? So if you can get somebody who's willing to sponsor the tour, right? Well, listen, every time we're out, we're in front of
Yeah.
100 people, 200 people, 1,000 people, 5,000 people, whatever it is. I don't know your guys' numbers, but this is how many people we're in front of, which means so many people will see your banner. And what we'll do is we'll put your banner on the front of the stage or in front of wherever we're at. And so now you're advertising, and we literally travel all over Texas, right?
Yep.
Now they see it as an So this is the thing that I worked with Nikita on. It's something I learned a long time ago, and that is most businesses have more in their advertising budget than they do in their donation budget. Far more. They're more likely to give you product than they are money.
Yes.
Right? Because that actually helps them.
Right.
So stop trying to get their donation money, because everybody goes after their donation money. Go after their advertising budget. We're going to give you advertising on all of our shows around the state. We're going to give you the opportunity to be seen, and we're going to open you up to audiences that don't already come to you, because we're going to go to surrounding towns, whatever, XYZ. And then also the other thing is, when you give them that, give them choices. So it's not just like $500, take it or leave it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we've got a $500 package, we've got the $250 package, and we've got the $1,000 package. Now, you're going to be a hero and reach up and grab that $1,000, or you're just going to play it safe, stick with the 500. And so now what happens is, it goes back to that Coke Pepsi talk that we had in the last episode. If you didn't check it out, go check out the last episode. But it now comes down to not a matter of if I'm going to donate, it's how much.
Right.
And so it's a matter of how you word it and put it together to help get those donations or those sponsors.
So I have I don't even know what it's called, sponsorship and
Letter,
investor
form.
package.
Sure.
Where it talks about the places we've been, places we're going, everything like that in it, plus the different levels for like advertising, because we can put logos on the trailer, we all these things. So I have all that, and people have asked for them. I've given it to them because they can send it through email, whatever, and nothing.
Do you
A lot of
follow
it
up?
is the follow up.
Do you follow up personally?
I have tried to, yes.
Okay, the follow up personally is where you're going to get it. No one is going to. I say no one. Very few are going to respond to just getting the packet.
Mm-hmm.
It's harder to say no to a person than it is just, oh, I'll get to that when I get to it, and set the packet off to the side.
Yeah.
They may even want to donate. They may even be interested in it. But if you don't follow up personally, they'll set it off to the side and be like, oh, I'll get to that in a little bit. And then life happens and they don't get to it, and it falls by the wayside. We have found that the follow-up, the face-to-face, the sitting down in the same room at the same time, that's where you get the money.
So we have, and
No, go ahead.
501c3 sponsorships are a little different just because of what they're allowed, what you can do, things like that.
And they can write it
So-
off and stuff like that.
Right. So I have.
Wait, one second.
Oh.
I'm going to let you go right into that. But
Sure.
first, I know Greg is already smelling this.
Oh, go
and
ahead.
So let us just knock this out
Yeah,
really
do
quick,
it.
and then we're going to have you go into
Yeah,
all
don't-
of the things that.
Don't go anywhere. This is a great topic.
Anyway,
Okay.
here we go. Really quick, the whiskey we're drinking. This is a blind test. Again.
Blind test. Let's see what
I
we
have
got.
the bottles here waiting for them to tell them what
Oh,
it is. I
nice.
know it's
Oh,
not gonna
good
be,
God.
Yeah,
Oh, I love it.
I knew Chuck was not
I
gonna
love
like
it. He
this
hates
one.
it, which means it's all mine.
Woo!
Yeah. Go back to the last episode where I gave him all mine. He just did the
Yes.
same thing to me.
So
This
That's an
smells like
apple.
an apple liquor.
it is.
Would
Yeah,
you
I
like
It's
your
like
guitar?
cough syrup.
idea what
Would
it
you like the
actually
guitar?
is.
It looks like it tastes like a liqueur. It doesn't actually taste like whiskey itself.
But it
It's
is
called
Could you
apple.
do me a
Rich and
favor and
rare
hit me from the
apple.
decanter?
It does smell really good.
Yeah, if you can hit me from the decanter.
Maybe I can't
that's-
see the-
I can't tell
Oh,
what it
hand it here.
actually
Here, let me
is.
see.
The writing is so
It's-
small on the
it's
bottom I can't
R&R.
see it.
R&R.
It's
whatever that
R&R
is.
Apple, which, hey, Rhythm and Rescue. That goes right up our
That's-
alley.
That was part of the reason
I love
we got
it.
it.
Oh, it's because the coloring is so awful.
Yeah.
Let's see. Canadian whiskey
No, that
with
explains
natural flavors and caramel color.
Canadian whiskey. Stop. Stop with the nonsense.
But
Crown
the
is
company,
good. Stop it.
But the company is in Frankfort, Kentucky.
it. Oh, wow.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
How is it a Canadian whiskey
I
in
don't know.
Frankfurt,
bottled
Kentucky?
It's a
by
Cantadian.
Frankfort, Kentucky.
It's a Cantadian whiskey.
Canadian.
But no,
Canadian whiskey.
It's rich and
Oh.
rare apple.
So they make it
That's
in
what the
Canada,
R&R.
but bottle it in Kentucky?
Yep.
So I guess they make they put the barrels down in Canada. They pour, do all their mash and everything, and then they
And
ship
then
it off.
ship it off
There we
to
So it's
Kentucky.
I will be
So
back
that's
on
what
Slow
this one
River
looks
Blend.
like.
Thank
It's
you.
R&R Apple. Whoops,
I
where's
don't
my
know
camera?
that I could
R&R
say
apple.
that name 5 times fast. I
So
would definitely screw it
apparently
up.
All right.
it is
Rich
made in
and
Canada,
rare.
but shipped in Kentucky.
Bottled in Kentucky.
Cantadian. That's what we said, Cantadian.
Okay.
All right.
A Cantadian whiskey, y'all.
It was good. I loved it. If you, excuse me, R&R Apple is the name of it. If you like the sweeter, more flavorful whiskeys, that's what this is. He does not. If you like whiskey, like you would expect the burn and the whiskey, that's more his style. And that is what we did the last episode. I will show you this.
If you're trying to fight off some government-pushed virus,
Oh gosh.
then because alcohol kills everything, then you're
really
gonna want the green apple nonsense that he's drinking. But other than that, Keita, tell us what you were talking about.
Yeah, so let's go back to this conversation. How do we get the money for donations and promotions?
Okay, so the biggest thing that we do donations and promotions for is the Monte Carlo night. Right. That's our big sponsor. Our big.
We made
event
what?
of the
40?
year. We made $45,000.
$45,000 this last year.
On top of what you paid out.
That's
That's
everything
pre-bills.
inclusive.
Okay, so
We
pre-bills.
cleared $20K.
The
Still,
year
that's
before we
good.
cleared,
About 15.
15 and 13, something like that.
we sat right around the 12.
So you had a
So,
good
Yeah,
increase.
we had a really nice increase.
You're
And
welcome.
less numbers.
Yeah.
We
We
had
had-
less people at the event, and yet they spent more.
Yeah.
And here's
We
why.
also had
It was Brad
less-
Jensky.
We had the really,
We actually had a good country artist. No, I'm
Um,
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
we had less amount of sponsors, but we had more higher value
Correct.
sponsors. And we did a couple things this year that we didn't do the last year because I had people ask for it. It's like, well, if you're going to ask for it and you're going to give me that sponsorship, then I'm going to make sure that's a thing for you.
Yeah.
We have 8 different levels of sponsorship that come in a monetary value. They start at $250. They go all the way up to $5,000.
Nice.
And
So-
this was the first year we had people chime in at the $5,000 mark.
Yes, we had one company come in at the $5,000 mark, which was absolutely awesome. What
We can say them, right? Volta Belting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Volta
He's like,
Belting.
can we say
Volta
it as he
Belting.
says their
Volta
name?
Belting.
Yes, you
Volta
can say it.
Belting. Volta
Yes.
Belting. Volta
So,
Belting. I'll say it all the time.
yeah.
For $5,000,
To be-
Volta Belting.
To be 100% honest, Volta Belting has bought into what the fire department is doing, and they have done a lot of donations to the department, which has been super helpful.
And it goes back to just what I was telling you, Jamie, which is if you find the people that buy into what you're doing and you like, she created packages specifically for Mike. Mike was like, hey, I would like to get this, this, and this. She was like, cool.
Done.
My next $5,000 package is going to have everything you
Well,
want in it.
And he, because you guys saw the crew that came with him,
Mhm.
Yeah.
he didn't just do the $5,000 sponsorship. He also bought VIP tables. And with the sponsorship that he did, it came with a handful of tickets. And he said, well, can I just buy that table? And I said, absolutely. We'll work that into what we're doing here because I know what the value you're bringing, the value we're bringing, so we can kind of meet in the middle. I had one business owner that hit us up and they said, look, we want to do a sponsorship, but we have 2 businesses. We don't know how to play this game. Like we can't afford to do the level that we want. And I said, why are you stressing about that? Let's just sit down and have a conversation. So they actually came through. They ended up doing $1,000 sponsorship for the event. And the way we worked it out, they got everything at that $1,000 level for them. And then it was just, okay, let's just make sure we can showcase both of your companies. And I
Right.
don't have a problem working with you because, again, you're going out of your way to help sponsor us.
You're buying into
So-
what we're doing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. And so we've been very blessed and very lucky. My wife, you guys know this. We've talked about this numerous times. My wife is the best part of me by far, right? She is the smartest, more beautiful part of our couple. Okay. But I have a little bit more sales experience. I have a little bit more, and so we started this when we were in California and I was coaching baseball. We started trying to work on sponsorships and stuff like that. And we kind of worked through some of the things that worked and some of the things that didn't. And then we come to Texas, we get the fire department and we're working through some of those things. And what we have found is that if you can find those people that buy into what you're doing, right? They understand what it is you're doing. And again, it doesn't have to. People think, well, yeah, but you're almost considered a charity because you're a 501c3, you're a nonprofit, you're a volunteer fire department. It's easy to get people to buy in. Look, if a company is going to get something out of it, it's about building value. Dodge Ram. I'll just mention them right now. So Brown Dodge Ram, God bless them. Brown Dodge Ram and Mr. Tucker, God bless you. Look, I tell you that because they just gave us 2 brand new command units to drive around. 2 brand new Ram 1500s, right?
And they're pretty.
Fully loaded, right? That's my new command unit is a Dodge Ram 1500 because Tucker buys into what we're doing. Mr. Tucker buys into what we're doing. It's not just, and he buys into the academy part. He buys in, hey, you're teaching new first responders, right? I like that. I want to be a part of that. Texas country, there are people that love Texas country. If you can get people to buy into that, because.
Could you imagine a brown Dodge Ram driving all over the state of Texas, putting 35,000 miles a year on one truck?
So, here's the deal.
Well, 15, but either way.
I will tell you, but that's the other thing is you got to find the deals that work for you. So the deal that we're working right now with the Brown Dodge dealerships, and Mr. Tucker, if I'm out of line here, I apologize, but I'm just gonna disclose this because I haven't signed an NDA.
Yeah.
There you go.
So it's a program for us. This is a program specifically for first responders that he gets to, and we change out our trucks every 6,000 miles. Every 6,000 miles, he gives us a new one, and we drive it for 6,000 miles, and then it goes back to the dealership, and he gives us a new one. And then we drive it for 6,000 miles, and it goes back to the dealership, and we get a new one.
So what would be nice is, after that 6,000 miles, if you moved it over to the Chuck Weimer band.
There you go. Right? There you go.
Yeah.
So, but the point is, you got to find the people that can buy into it, and then you have to sell them value. Everybody wants value, including us. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. But I promise you, and I sponsor things. I sponsor, Jordanton Fire does a chili cook-off or not just chili cook-off, sorry, just a cook-off. They do a cook-off every year. I sponsor a belt buckle that goes to that cook-off. Why? Because we also run an academy, and most of the people that go over there have something to do with first responders, right? And so I know the audience. The biggest thing is when you're looking for sponsorships and people to donate to what you're doing, you have to, 1, tell them who your audience is so they see if it's their audience, and 2, get them to buy into the why you're doing. And then 3, when you go to sell it, you have to close them. You have to close them because so many people are like, here's what it is. If it's okay if you can do that, but if not, it's okay. No, look,
I will tell you, closing is by far
it's everything.
The hardest part of getting a sponsorship.
Coffees for closers.
Absolutely.
I cannot close for anything. I can follow up and I will continue to follow up. But what I found, especially this last year, is I'll follow up 2 or 3 times, but then I'll send one of the firefighters to go close because they can. I had a handful of our younger guys that could just go in and get it, and they would come back with checks. And I'm like, guys, how did you, I've talked to them 4 times. How did you do that? And they're like, we just asked.
The other part is, and Jamie, don't take this the wrong way when I say this, there's going to be some people that, though they're willing to donate, but they want to talk to Chuck.
Yeah. No,
because
I get that.
There are
100%.
some of our donators that will come back and be like, the only way I'm giving you this check is if Chief comes and asks. You know what? I'll come ask.
See,
I got no problem with that.
And that's kind of the problem. He doesn't like to ask. He doesn't like to ask people to give him stuff, but I need him to.
Yeah.
So
it's part of the deal. You have to be able to ask, otherwise they're not going to give it to you.
For those that are listening, all right, and I don't know how many artists actually listen to this podcast. Who knows? Maybe in the future they might go back and they might do a deep dive and they'll be like, oh, crap, that was a cool episode. But artists have a really hard time separating themselves from being the creative to the business person.
Of course.
And as the business person, I used to sell cars. I know how to close.
Sure. Doing it for yourself is hard.
Yeah. Trying to sell myself, that's a
Yeah.
different animal because I don't see myself the way other people see me.
Sure.
Right? I don't see my music the way other people see my music. I've lived 47 years of I wrote a song down. And most people really couldn't care. They couldn't care less at all. But now we're in that 5-year stage of I've got songs that people are like, and I love what you're doing.
I would disagree with you. For 40 years, that may have been the case. But for the last 5,
42.
People have given a crap. People do care.
Right.
And that's what you're selling. The people do care.
Right. But as an artist, and this is for any artist that's listening right now, it's the same thing where who am I? who am I to ask
Mhm.
for anything when I have nothing else to offer you other than I'll put your name on the side of my trailer, you know?
Or we'll put a
Um,
banner on the
yeah,
stage,
I'll put your
or
banner on the stage. I'll have your name on there,
Let me ask you a question, Chuck.
but that's where we run into the problem is I think it's God, this even sounds even more pompous saying it this way, but humility seems to be more of the problem.
No,
of
sure.
Because I'm like, I'm just another guy. I'm
And
out there playing music. I look at Randy Rogers' band.
yeah,
Yes, go sponsor that dude because you're going to see his name everywhere. Me, you're going to see me in, 52 cities,
that's okay.
right?
But that may be 51 more cities than the person who's going to sponsor you is normally in. Again, it's about building the value for the customer, not for you. You
Right.
may only see yourself as I'm just a guy that plays 52 cities a year, but that may be 51 more cities than, the Boot Barn or the whatever, whoever's sponsoring you, right?
I get it.
And
I
so
get it.
that's a huge value to them because now you're giving them an audience that they wouldn't otherwise get. The other thing is, let me ask you this. You drive down I-35 and you
Mhm.
see golden arches. What does that tell you?
It's at McDonald's.
McDonald's. Everybody knows that. That's no question, right?
Mhm.
Then why do they spend $7 billion a year in advertising?
I understand that,
Yeah.
and I don't even argue the point. And I even sit here and I think to myself, for any Lidl business, 52 times a year, you're going to see our trailer, at least 52 times a year, you're going to see our trailer rolling out through Lidl. So people are going to see 52 times a year your banner walking down Lidl, right?
I think
probably more than that. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you from our standpoint, you're going after the wrong target
Probably.
because the problem is it's the hardest to sell at home.
It really is. It's
It's
also the
hardest
hardest
to
to get
get-
the most people to come out to the show. Too,
Correct.
'cause
your
Correct.
hometown.
Nobody wants to come out to a show from Lidl. I
You
mean,
could,
that being said, let me give due credit, Simon. I know you come out to the
Of
shows
course,
that you can.
yes.
We love you. We appreciate you.
But the overall feeling, honestly, the overall feeling I've felt lately is Lidl don't care.
well,
I know that's just me in my feels.
it's the home, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't. I will tell you that I've had people who have been in our fire department before who were from our town. They're like, why couldn't the people from here get behind this? Because they saw you grow up here, or they saw, they know you
Yeah.
outside of here. That they're not picturing you as Chuck the artist. They're picturing you as Chuck the guy that's at the football game for Matthew. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right.
Like that's the problem. They're not seeing, and they're like, oh, that's cute. You do this on the side. No, this is not. This is
No.
what I do.
And
This is my career.
I think that's where a lot of people aren't understanding is this is like we're trying to get to the point where he does not have to have
Right.
the job.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so when you're going after the sponsorships and you're going after the fundraisers and all that, you need to be looking at the businesses in San Antonio. You need to be looking at the businesses that are not local because
San Antonio does make a lot more sense because we drive
1,000.
through
Yeah.
San Antonio on every trip.
Just about, yeah.
and
Yeah.
what they want is the visibility. That's all they care about. They've got so much money in their advertising budget and they are willing to give you a chance on that as long as here's the thing. This is what I would tell you. I would start to also track your ROI. I would start to say, "Hey, how did you hear about us?" "Oh, I saw it on your trailer." "Oh, okay. Cool." "Oh, how did you hear about HEB?" "Oh, I saw it on the side of Chuck Weimer's trailer." Cool. Now you can go back and go, "Hey, look, people that sponsor our trailer, they got,
Yeah.
30 views or 40 views or whatever it is, people that came in and talked to their business."
Well, and don't be afraid to go after the big box stores.
Oh, yeah.
I
We probably need to
I
look
know
at HEB.
HEB,
HEB
Walmart.
is huge. Walmart is huge.
I don't remember
especially
seeing
your
any
local
artist
branches.
that has HEB as one of their sponsors.
So what do you do though? Do you just walk in and say,
So-
"Hey, can I speak to, or can I set up an appointment to speak to?" Like,
Yeah,
what do
who's-
you?
who's
So
your
you
first
can
person?
walk in. You can walk in and talk to a manager at HEB specifically because HEB is a huge sponsor of Divine Fire. They have donated all kinds of stuff, and that doesn't mean that you're going to get money from them. But they donate to the community a lot. So they have a community cares program. You can either walk in and talk to a manager. So we actually work with the one here in Lytle because that's the one closest to us.
Yeah.
Their manager is super nice, wonderful person. And I have their name somewhere. I can find it for you. But you can also submit all of your stuff online. I'm not going to lie. A lot of times I will sit down on the Google machine and be
Yep.
like,
Send out 30
companies,
applications right now.
Yep, and it's like companies that donate to companies, or companies that donate to nonprofits,
Companies that sponsor artists.
Yep, and just sit there, and a lot of times you'll just get a list, and it's like, you know what? I've got a couple hours today. This is all I'm doing.
Because they have a budget for it. It is in their yearly budget. They're ready to give somebody's going to get that money. All they got to do is ask for it. And that's where I go back to, you have to ask, because they're setting on money that they have set aside specifically to sponsor artists or sponsor this. And if you don't think that's true, that's, Miller Lite sponsors so-and-so. Well, so-and-so asked. I promise you. Miller Lite didn't say, hey, we're going to give you a bunch of money.
Right.
So-and-so went to him and said, hey, we would like X amount of dollars for this. And Miller Lite said, hey, we budgeted for this amount. Will that work? Yeah, that'll work. Cool. Here you go. But you got to ask.
I don't know what they're saying on yours, but I could tell you what Simon said on ours. He said, don't forget the Etsy and Squarespace people.
Yeah.
And then for HEB, talk to the unit director. So that's actually some really good information right there. And
I guess I would also just need to know, am I not wording things correctly? Is there a...
Well, we can look at that offline. We can absolutely look at that.
I think we probably need to be a little bit more upfront about what it is what we're looking for. Right? So remember back when we were doing...
One of the things that I have found is the more words, the less they read.
Yep.
I love it.
Anything over a page, they won't.
I am so sorry.
No, I love it. I think it was great. I was like, she did it to me. Yes.
Anything over one page, they're going to throw it in the trash.
So
promise you.
I think what we probably need to do is we need to reach out to whatever place. Like, think back when we were with the youth. We reached out to America's Diamond.
Mm-hmm.
And America's Diamond gave a damn diamond.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, yes, here you go. Here we have this for whatever. I think we need to be a little bit more upfront with the approach and just say, hey, look, we're looking for sponsors or investors into what we're doing here. What can you do? I think that might be what we need to amend how we're handling things.
And their next question is going to be, what's the value for us? So figure that out.
Well,
so figure out what the value is for them, and then the monetary will be...
The value being, we are going to have you on our trailer every time we drive to a show with a band show. And in that regard, we're going to have you on the trailer at least 52 times a year, driving through San Antonio with people seeing your name on the side of our trailer as we go to wherever it is we're going. But we're going through San Antonio 9 times out of 10.
So some of the questions that I have answered on those are, where will our logo be used? So, and it's like social media, print ads, pamphlets, website.
Is it mobile? Because that's a big one.
How many people are going to be there? How many people will see this? What is your reach if it is social media? So how many people are actually seeing these posts? So those are things that you have to, be prepared with, because
right. And we know our reach. We're looking in the thousands for social media. So
well, and that's just it. They're figuring their ROI. That's what they're doing. They're saying, if I'm going to give you X amount of dollars, how many people are actually going to see this versus how many people are going to come and buy my product or come visit my store or whatever.
Right.
And so that's why it's important for you to have that information. It's great that you say we drive through San Antonio 52 times a year, but you need to figure out what roads you're on and figure out how many people are on those roads to figure out how many people are actually visually seeing it or have the capability of seeing
it. Fair enough.
1604.
Yeah. But that's actually, I think that's a good stopping point for this episode. So we're going to look at that, and maybe in the next episode we'll have the numbers for what we think we'll be able to do, or maybe not. But once again, this is great information. And if you do a callback to the last episode, I didn't even talk as much as Nikita this time.
I know,
so
right?
There you go. This just so you know, I had very limited talking on this episode. No, but that was mostly because there was a lot of information coming from those that have the information, and that's what you're gonna get here. We're not
all about sharing.
It's not always gonna be Chuck talking about whatever Chuck wants to talk about. It's not always gonna be Greg yelling at the top of his lungs about somebody that he met in Cancun. or Jamie just yelling and
Telling us how we're wrong.
gleefully yelling about how Chuck's wrong. No, thank you so much, y'all. We're gonna. I think this is it. I think we're done for tonight because I'm getting a little bit to the edge of.
I'm good.
I may not be able to talk clearly here in a few minutes.
10-4.
So
Clear on.
thanks again, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys had a good time. I know we did. And
God bless you all.
for those that were here, shoot, man, there's gonna be 3 episodes that come out of this one. So
Yeah.
we'll see you next time we record. Have a great night.
Have a good night. Have a good night, TikTok. We love y'all. God bless you.